Welcome to the lecture 13 of course Polymer Science and Technology. In this lecture we will see the different physical state of the polymer. We have already discussed that the polymers may be in the crystalline state or in the amorphous state. In crystalline state there is a crystal structure known as crystallites. They have been formed by the foldings of the chain in a closed lattice space. Whereas in case of amorphous polymer there is no crystallites, chains are randomly distributed and their density is much less than the crystalline state because of the zigzag packing of the chains inside the polymer structure. So the properties of crystalline state, they are highly regular crystal structure and they are known as the crystallites. They are having rows of the folded chains. They have high thermal energy which is needed for the chain mobility, so they exhibits high melting point. Their mechanical properties is excellent. They possess high mechanical strength and mostly they are translucent or opaque. They are not clear plastics because of the very close packing of the chains. It is difficult for the light to pass through the intramolecular space of the crystalline polymer. Whereas in case of amorphous polymer there is a no regular structure. They have low melting point because chains can be easily mobile by the heating process, and they have poor or average mechanical properties due to less crystallinity, and they are mostly transparent. Light can pass through the thin film of this polymer. Example of amorphous polymers are LDPE, polystyrene, polycarbonate, whereas the example for crystalline polymers is the HDPE, polypropylene, Kevlar fibers, etc. No polymer is 100% crystalline or amorphous in its physical state. In the real world, they are containing both states or regions known as crystalline regions and amorphous region. For example, HDPE is 90% crystalline and 10% amorphous. Although we call the HDPE is a crystalline polymer, but actually it has 10% of amorphous regions and 90% of crystalline regions. Since the crystalline region is very high, 90%, that's why we'll call it as a crystalline polymer. But in actual fact, any polymer is a semi-crystalline material, means it will have the crystalline as well as amorphous phase both. The crystallinity of the polymer depends upon the many factors such as the rate of melt cooling. If we cool the melt very fast, then it will form the amorphous structure, and if we cool it down very slowly, it has enough time to form the crystal structure. So the crystallinity of the polymer depends upon the rate of the melt cooling. Second, catalyst used in the polymerization reaction. For example, during the polymerization of polypropylene, if we use the free radical catalyst, then it will form the random polymer, atactic polymer. And if we use Ziegler-Natta catalyst or metallocene catalyst, which is a coordination polymerization catalyst, then mostly it will form the isotactic polypropylene, which is crystalline by nature. Third is the presence of bulky pendant groups in the backbone chain. If bulky pendant groups are present in the backbone chain, such as benzene ring is attached to the asymmetric carbon atom of polystyrene, so because of the bulky benzene ring, it is very difficult to undergo for the crystallization process. That's why polystyrene is mostly amorphous polymer. Fourth is the stretching of polymer chain in one or two direction above its TG. When we stretch the polymer, then polymer chains gets aligned and they form the crystalline region. Okay, so this is known as the stretch induced crystallization of the polymer, and this is the technique which is being used while making the monofilament of the polypropylene. In monofilament of the polypropylene, we will stretch the monofilament in the axial direction so that the polymer chains are aligned in the axial direction, and it will enhance the crystallinity of the polymer, leading to higher mechanical properties. Most of the commercial polymers are semi-crystalline polymers. Okay, now we'll see the copolymerization in detail. The process of polymerization of a single monomer or a single monomer pair is termed as homopolymerization, and thus the polymer formed is termed as homopolymer. In case of copolymerization, on the other hand, two or more than two monomers or monomer pairs are polymerized simultaneously, and hence the polymer is composed of more than one repeating unit. We can see in the example here we have taken X mole of A monomer and Y mole of the B monomer. It will form a copolymer which is composed of repeating unit of A, B, A, B, B. So this is a random copolymer where the repeating units of monomer A and monomer B, they are attached to the polymer chain in a random fashion. The copolymer formed is composed of both monomeric unit A and B arranged at the random state like this. Now let us see another specific example of styrene and acrylonitrile. If we take these two different monomer and copolymerize them in a reactor, then we will get the styrene acrylonitrile copolymer, popularly known as the SAN, styrene acrylonitrile copolymer. And the one repeating unit of the SAN actually contains two parts. One is the repeating unit of the styrene, and second is the repeating unit of acrylonitrile. So the repeating unit of SAN has two parts. One is styrene repeating unit, second acrylonitrile repeating unit. So copolymers can be defined as random copolymer, alternate copolymer, block copolymer, and graft copolymer. Now let us see one by one. Random copolymer, there is no order of repetition in the monomeric unit. The monomeric unit can be attached randomly in the polymer chain. Here you can see the copolymer is made up of X and Y monomer repeating unit. So there is no order of repetition of monomeric unit. See X, 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 then suddenly one Y has come, then one X, then one Y, one X, one, then two or three Y are there. So there is no regular repetition pattern. So this type of copolymer will be known as the random copolymer, where there is no particular pattern of repetition is present in the chain. Second is the alternate copolymer. In alternate copolymer, the repeating unit of X and Y monomer will repeat alternatively. For example, X followed by Y, again X, Y, X, Y. So this is alternate copolymer. The third one is the block copolymer, in which there is a block of X and Y that will repeat in the polymer chain. For example, there is a block of 2X followed by block of 3Y, again followed by the block of 3X, block of 2X followed by block of 3Y, again block of 2X, again block of 3Y. So there is a repetition pattern in terms of the blocks 2X, 3Y, 2X, 3Y, 2X, 3Y. Fourth one is the graft copolymer. In graft copolymer, the backbone chain is entirely made up of a single type of monomer. Here you can see the backbone of the polymer chain is made up of only X type of monomer unit, whereas the side chains attached to the backbone are made up of second type of Y monomers. You can see this is the side chain Y, which is attached to the backbone chain, which is made up of purely one type of monomer. Here in this case, X type of monomer. So this is known as the graft copolymer. Graft means that one particular polymer chain is attached to another particular polymer chain, just like a graft. Okay, the next topic is polymer degradation. Degradation means it is just opposite to polymerization. Here in degradation of the polymer, the properties of the polymer will deteriorate, molecular weight of the polymer will reduced by the degradation. So the degradation in properties is due to the phenomena called polymer degradation, which is characterized by an uncontrolled change in the molecular weight or the constitution of the polymer. Okay, mechanism of degradation. Polymer degradation is broadly classified as chain end degradation, and the second is the random degradation. Now let us see the difference between chain end degradation and the random degradation. In chain end degradation, the monomer repeating unit will leave the polymer chain one after another. It is very similar to chain and polymerization. In chain polymerization, what was happening? Monomeric unit was getting attached to the growing polymer chain one after another. But in case of chain and degradation, monomer repeating unit will leave the polymer chain one after another. For example, this is my polymer here, which is composed of repeating unit M. When it will undergo the degradation process, one monomer repeating unit will liberate itself from the polymer chain. So here you can see plus M. After this, another monomer repeating unit will come out. Now you can see M plus N. So 2 unit has leave the polymer chain. Then the third step, 3 monomer unit will come out. In another step, 4 monomer unit will come out. So likewise, one after another monomer unit will keep on leaving the polymer chain, and thus the molecular weight of the polymer chain will keep on reducing continuously. This phenomena is just opposite of propagation step. This type of degradation is also known as depolymerization. Depolymerization means reverse of the polymerization, also termed as unzipping of chain. If chain is there, so this is the unzipping. Chain is going to be open, unzipping of the chain. So there are two names of this process: chain end degradation or depolymerization, or the third one is unzipping of the chain. Example of chain end degradation is the thermal degradation of non-terminated living polymers such as polyalpha methylstyrene synthesized through anionic mechanism. So this polymer, polyalpha methylstyrene, which is synthesized through anionic polymerization, will undergo unzipping or depolymerization or chain end degradation when exposed to heat. So by absorbing the heat, one after another monomer will start leaving the polymer chain. Now let us see the random degradation. This type of degradation could be thought of as reverse of polycondensation process, as illustrated in the following example. This is very similar to the opposite of polycondensation. In polycondensation, 2 growing polymer chains were getting attached to form a new polymer chain, where the molecular weight of the final chain was the sum of these two molecular weight of the chains. Okay, here for example, the molecular weight of the chain is Mn. When it will undergo the random end degradation, it will form two polymer chain of molecular weight Mx plus My, where N is equal to x plus y. If you add the molecular weight of chain Mx plus chain My, then it will become equal to the molecular weight of chain Mn. Okay, so you can see in example, there is a growing chain, there is a polymer chain of many repeating units of M. It will undergo random degradation, so it will form block of chains. This is the first chain, this is the second chain. So here monomer will not come out one after another, rather the groups of monomer will come out of the polymer chains. So that's why it is thought as the reverse of the polycondensation process. I hope this is clear to all of you. Almost all the polymer can undergo random degradation. Polyester, for example, undergo hydrolytic degradation resulting in chain scission. Scission is also, you can say, the term used for the degradation. So here is a water which is in contact with the polyester. Here this is the ester group and this is a polymer, so this is a polyester. So this water acts as a catalyst, and because of the catalytic effect of the water, it will undergo hydrolytic degradation and polyester will be decomposed in two chains. This is the first chain, this is another chain. So this is the random degradation. For random degradation to occur, the polymer chain need not necessarily carry any active site. In chain end degradation, the molecular weight drops very slowly because monomer leaves the polymer chain one after another. So there is a drop in the molecular weight which is very slow, or in other words we can say that the degradation of the polymer is slow when it is chain end degradation, and large quantities of monomer is released in random degradation, because in random degradation the monomers leave the polymer chain in the group. So because of leaving in the group, there is a very sharp decrease in the molecular weight of the polymer chain. Okay, so in nutshell you can understand that the random degradation is very sharp, very quick. The mechanical properties, thermal properties of the polymer will decrease very quickly when the polymer will undergo the random degradation. But if the polymer is going chain end degradation, then the reduction in the molecular weight or the mechanical properties or the thermal properties of polymer is slow and steady. But in case of random degradation, deterioration in the property is exponential, fast. Okay, now let us see the thermal degradation. Many follow either of unzipping or random mechanism of degradation. Since most of the polymer have carbon-carbon bonds in chain backbone, their thermal stability is dependent on the stability of such a bond. Okay, the thermal stability of carbon-carbon single bond in vinyl polymer decreases with the increase in the number of substitution. Here in case of polyethylene, there is no substitution, so the bond dissociation energy of carbon-carbon single bond is 88 kilocalorie per mole. Now see in the second example of polypropylene, one hydrogen has been substituted by one methyl group, CH3 group. So the stability of carbon-carbon single bond in the backbone polymer chain has reduced from 88 kilocalorie to 85 kilocalorie per mole. So there is a reduction in the bond dissociation energy of 3 kilocalorie per mole. That's mean, in other words, we can say that the polypropylene will be easily degraded as compared to polyethylene, because polyethylene is having more bond dissociation energy, so it will require much higher temperature to degrade as compared to polypropylene, because the polypropylene bond dissociation energy of carbon-carbon single bond is 85 kilocalorie per mole. Now if we replace the second second hydrogen also from the asymmetric carbon atom, then it will become polyisobutylene. This is also a polymer, and here the bond dissociation energy of carbon-carbon single bond present in backbone chain is 80 kilocalorie per mole. So we can see there is a decrease in the bond dissociation energy of carbon-carbon bond when we are increasing the substitution. So polyethylene is highly stable in this case, and polyisobutylene is the least stable, because polyisobutylene has two substitution, polyethylene don't have any substitution. Okay. However, all the substitution do not always reduce the thermal stability. Listen it carefully. All the substitution do not always reduce the thermal stability. For example, PTFE, polytetrafluoroethylene, popularly known as Teflon, has all the hydrogen atoms substituted by fluorine atom. That's mean, in the structure of polyethylene, all the hydrogen atoms have been replaced by the fluorine atoms. Instead of H, there will be F connected to both the carbon atom. But this polymer is one of the most thermally stable polymer. PTFE can withstand up to 400 degrees centigrade without any degradation. You must know that your non-stick cookwares, they are being coated with the Teflon. You must have heard Teflon coated non-stick cookware. So it is so stable polymer, even if you expose it to direct flame, even though it will not degrade, because it can withstand temperature as high as 400 degrees centigrade. And its bond dissociation energy of carbon-carbon single bond is 108 kilocalorie per mole as compared to 88 kilocalorie per mole in case of polyethylene. So this is very high bond dissociation energy, 108 kilocalorie per mole in case of PTFE. Okay, so here, although we have substituted all the hydrogen by fluorine atom, but the stability has increased instead of going down. Okay. Beside the highly the reason for this, that the highly electronegative nature of fluorine protects the carbon-carbon single bond in Teflon from an external attack by the free radicals or by the temperature or presence of water, etc. Generally, the aromatic group, this is the second part. Generally, the aromatic group in the polymer backbone increases the thermal stability. For example, polycarbonate has aromatic rings in the backbone chain. Here you can see this is the structure of the polycarbonate, and because of the presence of the benzene ring which is connected to para position in the backbone chain, it will increase the thermal stability of the polymer. Okay, that's why the polycarbonate is having high melting point and high glass transition temperature. Its glass transition temperature is somewhere around 145 degrees centigrade. Okay, so this is the end of lecture 13. I hope you must have understood and enjoyed this lecture. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. We will continue this topic in next lecture, 14th lecture. Thank you very much.